Yo, 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 guys, we are back with another episode of the Infinite Snap podcast. I'm your host, Richie, also known as in the online space as ShadowDTV. We've got my boy Tom here. We've been playing some Marvel Snap this week. New season pass dropped today, so we're going to be chatting a lot. Most of the podcast is going to be about that. We've got some other really interesting topics to talk about. Tom, what have you been up to?
Not much. We're playing The Last of Us again for the fourth time.
The Last of Us, yes.
Been very fun, even though it's a bit controversial, but that's fine.
Yes, what's controversial about just another remaster?
Just another remaster. Is it necessary?
Yep.
You know, they just pretty much did a graphics upgrade. Then everyone's complaining because it's not worth a full cost of a game. But
what is the cost of it, mind I ask?
I think it's whatever normal PS5 games are worth.
So
I paid $98 on Amazon.
Whoa! Okay.
But
that is for a remastered game. That is actually ludicrous. They're just making bank on what's this? The second remaster? Technically, yeah, that's insane.
But it looks great, and Amazon have a month to return it. So
yeah. So if you don't like it, just send it back.
Or finish it.
That's just crazy to think about. Like a game that's been out for so long. It must be pretty good. I still haven't played it. It must be pretty good though if it's two remasters and still selling.
I think the point of it was that they were making it for PC.
Yeah.
So I think they thought we might as well chuck it on PS5 again.
That makes complete sense. Cool.
And they kind of retconned a few things as well. So
that's interesting. Oh, so it's a new game, totally new game now. That counts as a new game. As soon as you change,
very minor retcons.
As soon as you change something, it's a new game. All right, guys, podcast is live. We're doing the podcast live on Twitch every week, so we'll be streaming it live to you guys on Twitch at ShadowDTV. And then obviously the recording of it will go up on all the podcasting platforms as well as YouTube. So if you want to catch us live, you can. We'll generally go live on Tuesdays around 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes might be before that, sometimes just a bit after. Like we both have jobs and extracurricular stuff after work. I have a child now, so have to actually
that's the main one you should talk about.
Kind of have to look after child, yeah. So that's very important. Don't want to neglect my child for the podcast. So we'll be doing this live, which is going to be fun. We've also we had Justin on last week as a guest. We've got some news, some interesting news about that we'll let you guys know next week in regards to Justin. And maybe possibly a more permanent position on the podcast. Again, if you do want to watch us live, if you're not able to catch the stream, you can see us in video on YouTube. If you prefer to watch the podcast, see reactions, things like that. A lot of people prefer to listen. I'm like an audio listener while I'm at work. Can't really watch podcasts, so you definitely can do that. And official Twitter for the podcast. We launched it last week. We've had some people follow it, which has been really cool. People in the Marvel Snap community. You'll see all the socials at the bottom if you're watching. Otherwise, it's at Infinite Snap Pod. And I've said this a few times now because Infinite Snap was taken on Twitter, which kind of sucked. But yeah, guys, let's get straight into it. New season pass dropped. Very exciting stuff. Tom, first thing that came to mind when I saw the season pass drop, as soon as it drops 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I haven't actually said this to you yet, but I reckon you can already guess what I'm going to say. Sword and Shield is the name of the event. Now, you and I play a trading card game with a very similar, if not exactly the same name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so literally I read it and I'm like, I thought, what game did I think I was playing?
Yeah, I think they knew what they were doing 100% when they named it. I think it's a bit on the nose.
I literally read it and went, Sword and Shield. I play the Pokemon trading card game, and for the last 2 years, every set has been part of Sword and Shield because of the video game. Which was actually it was a weird feeling, reading that. Yeah. So, but it is not Pokemon. It is Marvel. I understand Sword and Shield. Shield is the agency that Nick Fury runs. What's the sword part? Did you get the sword part?
I didn't get the shield part, so thanks for enlightening me on that.
Oh, sorry, I forget. You're the MCU, not even anti-MCU.
Novice.
Just novice. Yeah, that's exactly the right word. So yeah, SHIELD stands for, I'm not even going to look it up. Security, I don't even remember what it stands for. We can look that up later. But the sword part, kind of eluded me. I didn't actually look at the other characters that they're like kind of, I guess, themed
There
around.
was Agent 13
Okay.
and Iron Man, I'm pretty sure.
And Iron Man, yeah.
Because
So
they're the variants that come with it, from my recollection.
Yep. Okay, that's cool. Good information there, actually. I'm just trying to think. Yes, sword. So I don't exactly know where that part comes from, but anyway, that's the theme. We've got the brand new card. That's probably the thing people care about more. Nick Fury is the brand new card in Marvel Snap. Really cool card, in my opinion. Yet to see if it's actually going to be good or not. The games, the season pass has only been out for like 8 hours, so a lot happening there. Let's check out the card. Actually, we might as well look at it. I've got that ready here. Boom. So Nick Fury is a 5-cost card with 7 power, and the ability is on reveal, add 3 random 6-cost cards to your hand. Tom, what's your thoughts on it? Like the ability?
It's interesting. I don't know how useful it'll be, because you kind of just, it depends how you use it. Because if you use it as a hope to get a good 6-drop, you're just gambling on that you'll get one that works for you. I mean, you get 3, so there's a good chance you might get something that's half decent, but there's also a chance you don't. So I don't know if you'd use it solely and just don't play any 6-drops and just hope you draw this in the first instance, and then get something that's actually good enough to use.
Yeah.
With what the situation is.
Yep.
Because I know there's some 6-drops that just are very situational, that if you get stuck with all of them and you're not in that situation, then what's the point? You're just going to lose.
Yeah, for sure. One that comes to mind with your example, like if you get Infinite is like a 6 power, but you can't play a card the turn before you play him, so just all of a sudden a dead card.
Or Destroyer that just wipes your whole board if you're not set up for it.
For sure. It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I got Destroyer today, and I was like, I literally I just play this and I lose because I wipe my entire board.
You'll win one location most likely.
Yeah, that's true. You might win one location. So yeah, I guess you're right in that. I guess the random mechanic, like getting random cards, can be like, there are 6-cost cards, so you're getting, I guess, end game cards for your last turn. But unless there's like some shenanigans to get more use out of them, like if you're just getting 3 6-cost cards and playing one of them, you could just play the 6-cost card that you want to play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I feel like unless
you get really lucky and get Elysium or whatever, and you can play this on turn 4.
Yeah.
Then you have 2 opportunities to play at 6-cost cards. Which, how often are you really going to get that?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, you're better off just playing the one you want, like you just said.
Yeah. So I was trying to. So we'll get into deck building with Nick, like thoughts in a moment. But like a quick one was my theory with him is you need to be able to lower his cost, or lower the cost of the 6-cost cards that you get from him, so you can play at least 2 of them. I feel like if you're not playing at least 2 of them, or getting some benefit out of 2 cards, then it's kind of, you might as well, like we said, just play the 6-cost card that you would rather play in that deck.
Yeah.
I guess let's if you had to give it a rating out of 5 right now, with the only the knowledge you have right now. Obviously, this will probably age like milk. But what would be your rating out of 5? I guess for just how good is the card?
I reckon maybe 2 or a 3.
Okay, so 2.5.
I feel like its power is good enough where even if the ability doesn't really work, it's still kind of okay.
Yeah.
And I think if you utilize it properly in a deck, it'll be kind of decent. I still don't think it'll be. I still can't picture where this is going to be amazing. Kind of like Daredevil.
Yeah. Okay.
Where Daredevil just was fine in situations and in certain decks, but overall it's not like game breaking or anything, which I also think that's kind of what they're trying to do as well.
Trying to keep it balanced.
Introduce a card that everyone just automatically gets, that will just everyone will need to play, because then it kind of breaks the meta a bit if it works in everything.
Yeah, for sure. I think like what you said is right. If they're releasing broken cards in the season pass, the people who pay money for that season pass are at a significant advantage by getting the card early. Because you can't get Nick Fury in as a pool 3 card until, well, so far it's been after the season has ended. So I guess you don't want to create a game where you have to buy the season pass to stay competitive, because then it just becomes a pay to win game essentially. So I think you're right. They're trying to keep them like as balanced as possible. I think it's so that's your rating. I'll give my rating, and then we'll talk about some like ideas with Nick Fury. So I reckon he's like a 3, and maybe like a 3 out of 5 at the moment from like the deck. Like just thinking about what decks he could be in, just seeing stuff on Twitter, what like ideas people have come up with in like the last 8 hours, which is not a lot of time. I mean, there's going to be plenty of testing over the next few weeks. So I'd give it just a 3. Like the ability's cool, but you need to have other like cards to. I guess you got to play other cards to like abuse that ability, and time will tell how strong it actually is. So Tom, any deck ideas like that come to mind, or even just like a combination with another card, like even as simple as that? Have you had any thoughts about that?
I have. So going back to my favorite deck, which I'm not playing anymore, the dinosaur deck, I feel, especially with the collector, even though the collector's been nerfed a bit, I still think this is a good card for that deck.
Yeah.
Because you play collector, you play Dino, then you play Nick Fury. He's still got 7 power, which is still really good.
Yeah, for sure.
And you also get that 3 extra cards. So you buff dinosaur, you buff collector. So even if you don't even necessarily need to play any of those cards, it allows you to make use of them without actually needing to play them. So you could get cards that you wouldn't think of playing, but it'll still buff 2 of your other cards.
Yeah, that's a cool thought. I hadn't actually thought about using it with collector. I think ever since the collector nerf, I've kind of just thought as collector as like not a good card. But I guess, if you're playing other cards that add cards to hand, like if you Moon Girl and then play Nick Fury, and even say you get terrible 6 drops and you play Nick Fury again just to buff, like you play him and another card just to buff the collector. Like you said, you're still getting that like a 7 power card for 5 costs, which it's like not awful.
I didn't even think of that. You could even Moon Girl twice, but no, Moon Girl and then get him
Nick
twice.
Fury. Yeah, Moon Girl, Nick Fury. Like it's a bit of like a special case, I guess. But I think what like your idea of just using him as a buff for like other cards is really interesting.
And that's why I think the fact that he's a 7 power card is important, because he's still decent enough power just to try and win a location using him.
Yeah.
Because if he was like, a 2 power, 3 power card, it probably wouldn't be that great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it'd be much worse.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're playing this, let's say it's like 4 power, there's plenty of other 5 drops you'd rather play, and then just play the 6 drop that you're going to play,
Yeah.
You're going to get it every game. I think the idea I had for a deck, I guess, I don't know if it's not really a deck, but I thought you could have Quinjet, so playing Quinjet early, and then getting Nick Fury out turn 5 is kind of like it makes Quinjet useless almost, because you're just getting them as 5 cost cards. But if you like Jubilee and get Nick Fury, it's very, very like specific. It's really gimmicky. But I actually tried it today and I did get it to work, not consistently. But when it did work, it was pretty cool, because I was able to like play Nick Fury turn 4 with Jubilee, and then play a turn 6 card, then play another turn 6 card on like turn 5, turn 6. And there's other ways like you could like pull off that. I was thinking like Lockjaw, you could pull something off like that. There's cards where you can discard Nick Fury with like, and then play like Ghost Rider turn 4 to get Nick Fury out. So like I had a few ideas, but I think everything I could think of and like tested felt really gimmicky. Nothing felt like I just felt I could play another 5 cost that does something and just play the 6 cost that I actually want.
And you're relying on something to go perfect for it to work well.
Yes.
As opposed to just playing it as you normally would any other card, and then it's not as good. So it feels kind of bad putting all your hopes on, using Jubilee to get him, or, Ghost Rider to get him out.
Yeah.
Rather than just having another 5 drop that's, you just get it, you play it, and it does what you need it to do. So
yeah, that's right. So I think that's I think like so far the consensus is I don't think anyone's found the deck that it belongs in yet. It doesn't feel like Daredevil in that you can just throw it into like a range of decks. Like Daredevil's ability was, I guess, like you always had the ability happen as long as you played the card. and you always got, I guess, use out of it.
Yeah.
Like especially, yeah, I feel like you just always got like value out of it. Whereas Nick Fury is like, unless you can find a gimmicky way to lower the cost of him or the 6 cost cards. Actually, just quickly, another idea which I got to work as well was, so Nick Fury turned 4 with like Jubilee. But sorry, actually, how did I get it to work? Oh, it was actually really dumb and gimmicky. So Dracula got pulled out by the location that plays a card from your hand.
Yeah.
And then I was able to get Fury out with Jubilee, play a 6 cost card, and then he took the last 6. Yeah, it was actually like ridiculously. It's never going to happen again. But even something like Dracula, like say you only play one of the 6 cost cards, and then Dracula takes one. What if it's like, what's a 6 cost card with like a low power? I'm trying to think.
There are
that have like good abilities. But
like Leader, for example, I think it's 4 power. Yeah,
like 4 power. Like if Dracula takes Leader, that's just terrible. So even that synergy kind of is pretty bad, actually. So yeah, I think like there's I can't really think of a whole lot with Nick Fury, but
time will tell.
Yeah, literally time will tell. That's like the only thing I can say about Nick Fury right now. What's your thoughts? Are you excited for this season pass? I know like the card, we're not super hyped about the card right now. I'm sure hopefully within the next 4 weeks we do get a bit more hyped for it. Are you excited though, just for a new season pass, I guess?
Yeah, like I feel there's not a lot in the season pass to get excited about.
Yep.
If I'm being honest, like you just get a new card, you know, we find out what the new card is, that's exciting, and then you find it out, and then like today we're just like, oh, okay, cool, and then you don't really unlock anything new. You unlock variants, you just get credits, you get gold. So I mean, it's exciting to maybe get a variant, but even then the chances are pretty low, and you only get guaranteed 2 or 3. I think it is 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So, guaranteed 2 random ones plus the Nick Fury.
Fury one. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope that you might be able to get more when the game probably comes out.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's almost necessary to have the season pass just to be able to level up and get your collection level up, because otherwise I feel like it just take way too long.
Yeah. I think so last season pass I bought the like 10 skip, like the 10 skips to start, and I ended up on like 78 or something, and I realized literally from 50 to 78 I got nothing more than credits and boosters.
Yeah.
Like I recently got a variant and it was just on my collection my collection ladder. So it literally like I feel like I just paid the extra for no reason. Like I got credits, I might have got some gold, like maybe 100 gold or whatever. And so this time I'm just going to buy like the base one, and I've already bought it, just the base one. If I hit 68, that's fine. That's like 18 levels of extra. Yeah, I think that's all I need. Now
I hit
what did you hit?
I hit 58, I think.
Yep.
So I finished it a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And I got literally boosters for all 8 of my extras.
Yeah, right.
And it's just
that sucks.
And then it just feels kind of bad because it's, especially this far into the game, I feel like I've got so many cards to upgrade and just not enough credits.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating to get more boosters that I don't really need, especially for cards you've got so many boosters for already, because you just play them consistently. It just feels really bad to get rewarded with stuff you get ample of anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Have you split any cards yet? Like get them to infinity and then you split them into the new card?
Yes, I've only got one. I think Nightcrawler.
Yeah, cool. So what happens, I end up splitting a card that I use, and then say like today I ended up with like 1,000 credits because I played my 10 games. Because I'm at rank 70, I got all the credits from the previous tiers, and I ended up with like 1,000 credits, and I literally just spent them all on my my split like blade, I think. And I don't even play blade, but I just like, I think I don't really care anymore about, like, the rarities are cool, but unless it's like a variant, I think I'm kind of just like whatever. I'm literally just upgrading to level and get new cards. It feels, I think the season pass, I was going to mention, so it has changed a bit this season. I don't know if you noticed, the card backs that you usually get, which we got in the last season pass, are actually on the ranked ladder now. I don't know if you've had a look at that yet.
No, I
So,
haven't.
so if you go into the ranked ladder, last season for hitting Infinite, you got a portrait of Daredevil, whereas now you get a Hydra card back. It's actually really cool artwork. There's one at 50, rank 50, and one at rank 100. I don't actually have any images of them, but I mean, just go and check your ranked ladder. One is like an agent. The 50 rank is Agents of Shield emblem, and then the Hydra one is at 100, and they're actually the nicest card backs I've seen so far. They actually look like metallic and shiny. I think they've worked.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they've actually done a really good job on those artworks. Yeah, so I think that's I think the card back, in my opinion, the card back is more prestigious, I guess, than the avatar. Like, I would rather get a cool card back at Infinite than a cool avatar. Like, I pretty much disregard my avatar, and when I think of
I can tell you what my avatar is.
Yeah, that's right. And I think when I think of other digital card games, like Hearthstone, card backs are a really big thing, and they only recently introduced alternate character art. So card backs have always been a thing, and I think about playing cards in real life. You get your custom card back. You get the color that you like. You can get artwork on your thing, and that's what you show off. You show off a playmat maybe, and your sleeves. So I think it's a better reward than avatar, and I think giving gold or credits as a reward is just not fun because you're just getting them anyway. So I think the card back, I hope they continue doing the card back because I guess it gives you a reason to push to show off that you hit Infinite. Yeah.
And you had a good idea. You just said playmats. They might do something with that in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Just have a backing image or something.
Yeah, there's the Yu-Gi-Oh! So Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, which is their a digital Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. They have that where you can buy your half of the screen is your stadium, and then their half, your opponent's half, is their theme that they bought or got from their season pass or whatever. So I guess it's almost like having a playmat in real life. You roll out your playmat with the artwork that you like, etc. So I think that's there you go. Just free ideas for you there. Second dinner, you just can steal that one.
I'm sure they all love their card games. So I'm sure it would have been on their radar to begin with.
Sure.
But we can take credit for it.
Yeah, we'll take credit for it for sure. Speaking of, I guess, cosmetics and stuff, I have a good question for you. Well, actually, it's a question just in general. Why the heck? I was just sitting and noticed it today when I looked at the season pass. Why the heck do variants in the shop cost more than the season pass? So
what does it actually?
So I looked in the shop today, and 700 gold is 15 Australian dollars. Okay, now the conversions to other countries might be a bit different. It might work out that variants are a bit cheaper than the season pass. I'm not entirely sure, but with our conversion rates and how the shop works, and Apple's card and Google's card and all that, that's why I'm I really hope PC client comes soon so the money can kind of just go directly to them, so they can shave off any fees that they're having to add, or even I highly doubt they're absorbing those fees, but if they are, then that would just be absolutely horrible. So and just I highly doubt they're absorbing transaction fees for Apple and Google. I think it's 30% or something ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I with Hearthstone, for instance, if I buy something on my PC, it's cheap directly from Blizzard. It's cheaper than buying it from the store. Yeah, just every time.
That makes sense.
So it's $15. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. So 15 Australian dollars gets you 700 gold in the shop. So $15, that's what the season pass costs. And a variant is 750 gold. Yeah. So one variant is essentially $16 each. And it's 700 gold. So you're missing 50 if you buy that bundle as well, which is a little interesting. So it just seems really expensive for a cosmetic. And I know we've played games with cosmetics that expensive. Tom, you can elaborate on that. A game where we've spent plenty of money.
Valorant is the game I spent too much money on.
Yes.
But it's in the same situation in Valorant. You get the season pass, and it's cheaper than it's $15 in Valorant.
Yes,
then an average skin is about $30-$40.
It depends what it is.
Depending.
I think a knife. I think a knife is $50 to $60.
Yeah, and then the average gun costs about $20 to $30. I think depending on the level of skin.
You might be right, actually.
So I think the point of that is with the variants, with the season pass, you're getting random variants you might not even want.
Yeah.
But with the ones you buy from the shop, you're not obviously not getting the ones exactly you want because you can't just pick and choose. You just get what you're given. But every day you have the chance to get one that you really want. So if you play, Iron Man in every deck and you see a new Iron Man variant that you really want that's in the shop, you might think, oh, I could just spend, $16 and I'll get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I think that's the point. And I feel like because I don't know, I think it's my opinion, but because the variants don't really matter to anything like gameplay wise, doesn't matter for progression, they can just put as much as they want. If people want to buy it, they can buy it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest that that's more expensive, because for me, I'm fine with the stock cards. I'm fine with getting whatever variants I can. Like, obviously it'd be cool to have more throughout just, season pass or just unlocking it by playing, but if that's not what they want to do, I mean, they've got to make money somehow. So if you really want something, you just need to spend the money, I guess. And it's not affecting me. Someone has a cool variant of a card and I've got the exact same card. It's literally the exact same card. It literally does not matter. And I think that's the same with all card games. The variants and the rarer cards don't really... The only difference is cosmetic, so not an issue for me.
Yeah, I guess like in terms of gameplay, they're exactly the same. I think my counter argument is like buying a gun skin in Valorant. Like generally, you're gonna use that gun every single game that you play Valorant. Like unless you're buying skins for a gun that you're never gonna use. But I feel like you use the same guns every game, so you're gonna essentially use it every single game. Whereas I think if you buy, if I buy a variant for, I don't know, let's say I buy a Nick Fury variant, there's some really cool variant and I really want it. And so I buy it for $7.50, and then all of a sudden I realize the card's terrible, or I want to play a different deck. Or another example, say I bought a really cool collector skin and then they nerfed collector and now all of a sudden it's not as good. I'm now not playing that card as much and I've paid $16 for it. I feel like that feels a lot worse than paying like for instance in Valorant you say $50 for a knife. But the thing is I can pull out my knife every game. So I'm visually seeing it every single game, whereas I have to actually play that card every single time. So I don't know. I feel like I actually haven't bought any variants from the shop. I'm assuming you probably haven't either.
No.
So I feel like if the variants were let's say $5, let's say they were $5 Australian dollars. If there was a cool variant in there, let's say there's a cool Wong variant. I've been playing some decks with Wong and Mystique. Say they were a cool variant. For $5, I'd maybe be considered to buy it. Whereas for $15, I kind of go, let's say I wanted a variant for every card in my deck. That's 12 cards. Times that by $15, that's just ridiculous. I'm just not going to pay that for every single deck I want to play. It's pretty insane. So I don't know. Hopefully, what's your thoughts on that? I guess
I get what you're saying there, but there's also there must be either testing it or they think that's a sweet spot, because there'll be people who think, oh, I wouldn't pay $20 for a variant, but $15, I'll pay that.
Yeah.
So as many people are there like you who think that's too much, some people are like that's the sweet spot where I'm willing to pay that. Yeah. So I think it just depends, if because given if it's $15 or $5, maybe more people will spend it at the $5 mark.
Yeah.
And then, but you still need less people to pay it at the $15 mark.
Yeah.
So, and there's still people who might not pay it at all, who think it's a waste of money. So they've probably done their research into, pricing and whatnot, and probably think it's worth having less people buying variants more often at $15 than more people at $5, because you'll probably be getting more money from the $15 one anyway.
Yeah. So from what I've read, I think they're kind of happy with the prices at the moment for variants. So I guess they're probably selling as they expect them to. I just think in terms, when I think, so this is personal, obviously you're right, there's probably people out there that are happy to pay that. I think if I have a deck of 12 cards and they're $5 each, and let's say I've been playing that deck for a month straight, I'm in love with it, to spend $60 to get 12 variants for that deck. Did I do that math right? Yes, I did. I was just I'm going to completely butcher this and hear about it later. So if you $60 for me, maybe once every 3 months on a variant deck, I would happily pay that. But then when it's $15 a card, I'm gonna buy.
$180.
That's right, and I'm gonna buy. Quick math. He was getting that one ready, guys. Nah,
100% was getting it ready.
So, but it's not even like the $180. It's I'm not even gonna bother buying variants now because I know I'm only ever gonna be able to afford, one or two every now and then. So I've just decided not to buy them at this stage. That might change. I don't know. But yeah, we will see in regards to
But
that.
also with the season pass, you get gold from that. Like I can't remember how much gold you get.
I think you get a fair bit,
decent
probably
amount.
enough for at least one variant. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah, I think you're like. I guess they do give you a fair bit of gold in game. Like they're quite generous with their gold in terms of like a mobile game, like giving you a paid currency.
But then you have to make the choice of do you want to buy variants or do you want to spend it on credits to level up quicker. So
and I spend it all on credits.
100%.
Yeah. So I just thought it was an interesting thing, like just thinking about skins, I guess in general.
Yeah.
Like it's, I guess like even, but then again, I think about like inflation and everything. The cost of everything's going up, so I guess we can't expect to, pay like $15 for our season pass and get all this artwork that they've had to pay for, included. Yeah, cool. So yeah, I just like to complain about things. So we've got a little bit of Marvel Snap news before I think maybe we'll go into some decks and we'll go through the featured locations this week. I think that's all we've got on the season pass, to be honest. It feels a little bit more lackluster than the Heroes for Hire season. I think that was like our first like big season since Australia received Marvel Snap.
That's what I was gonna say. That's when that was like the game came out halfway through Thor.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
it did. So it kind of felt good to like start a season fresh.
Yeah.
Try and rank up to Infinite. Yeah. So I think it was a bit more exciting our first season. So news. The Second Dinner posted like a little thing about they're still working on the like black card bug that everyone has had. Apparently there was like a major issue with pushing that update, so they haven't done it. I would like to hear from them about the Colossus bug because my Colossus is still white every single time.
The one thing I hate about it is so I play like, when you destroy cards. So Colossus will be, the second one here.
Yeah.
And then this card will get destroyed. And then the Colossus moves. So you can see Colossus, but the white frame is still there.
I forgot about that bug. That hasn't happened to me for a while.
It's not horrible, but it's just... I obviously don't know what the technical side of it is, and it's a difficult issue to fix because it would have been fixed instantly if they could have. So.
Probably, yeah.
But it's just funny. It's been going on for a while. Actually, the black card bug hasn't happened as often as it used to.
Ooh.
So it used to happen, I reckon, every other game.
Yep.
Now maybe one every 5.
Yeah, right.
I would say, just as a rough estimate.
Yep.
But the Colossus happens every time I play him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what. Every time I play him,
imagine
it's that white light.
Imagine you bought, imagine just before that patch, you bought a Colossus variant for 750 gold, and you bought the gold as well. And then for the last month, he has literally just been a blank white card. I would just
don't play him. Just leave him in your hand.
Just cry into your money. Yeah. So that they have apparently they've got the fix. There was just a major issue with doing it, so hopefully they get that sorted soon. It just feels kind of weird as a beta. I don't know. It feels almost like I'm just thinking about other betas that I've played. They're not usually pushing so much content. It's it's not a ton of content. I guess we're only getting one new card a month, but we're getting new locations every week and featured locations and this and that. It kind of feels like I have a complete game in my hand.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not available in all countries. So it'll be interesting to see when it actually goes full release.
And I feel the fact that it feels like it's you're getting more content is because you're getting new cards every time you play. So it's not as though you have everything at this point and you're just starved for something new because you're constantly getting something new, even though most of it's not usable. You've still got that excitement of getting something new.
Yeah.
Oh, can I use this? Can I not use it? So you still you're still unlocking stuff. So I feel once you get, I think that's when I think people will hit a wall, and I'm sure people already have when they've finished their
their
pool
collection.
3. So once you've got all the pool 3 cards and you're just waiting for something new, you can literally play with every single combination there is, whatever your mind can think of.
Yeah.
So once you get through all those, then you're thinking, okay, 1 card a month is not going to be great. So it'd be interesting to see what they do once more people are getting to a new collection level. Do you think they're stockpiling cards for another pool?
I don't think
Who
so.
knows?
I think from like initial like talks about the game, they always said that this wasn't going to be like, oh look, a new expansion drops with 50 new cards. It was always going to be like a few new cards, like each, like
Okay.
I guess patch. Because like you think about a trading card game, they just release like 100 new cards all at once.
Yeah.
And like with your argument of having all the cards, I think of like playing Hearthstone for a long time. You don't have like access to every card without money, obviously. But I never have felt like I've always just been able to build any deck I want, essentially. And then I don't think that's made it stale. I think the way the rank system is and stuff, it gives you something to strive for every month. So I guess really the only thing is if you've unlocked everything, you should just be pushing for infinite every season. And I guess just like pushing your rank as hard as you can if you want to, I guess the problem at the moment is there's nothing after infinite.
Yeah.
So like once you hit 100, that's it. Like I know we spoke to our friend who hit like a pretty high level in infinite and then dropped back to 70, and it was kind of like, but hang on, I've gone up, like 100 levels past infinite or something, and I just go back to 70. So once I hit infinite, what's the point of?
What's the point? Yeah.
I just do my missions and then like close the game, which to be honest is kind of how I've felt for the last few weeks.
Yeah, so literally all you're doing at this point is leveling up. But what happens when you get to the point where you've got all the cards and then you hit infinite, and then there's literally no reason to play?
Yeah, I guess.
My opinion, unless just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You're not going to have that reason to log in every day. You'll just play when you feel like playing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying now. You've got no reason to want to make your collection level higher.
Yeah, well, if you're not getting new cards, I mean, you might play for new variants, but realistically, the chances of getting variants are so slim that is it really worth it?
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying now. So that's an interesting talk, I guess, which we can't really have until like a full release when there's more people that have hit that stage.
I feel they're gonna probably do something different.
Yeah, I mean, there's
have to.
It's gonna be a while before like some people have hit that collection level. I believe like getting all the cards is around 3,100-ish collection level. I'm nowhere near that yet because we haven't had the game as long as other people have. But I think once full release comes out and there's been like 6 months, people who took the game, like do their missions, will probably be closer to that. And then I guess that discussion becomes more real because I couldn't imagine there's a majority of the player base that are at that point yet. I think I'm at I've been junking the game since it came out, and I think I'm at like 1,200 collection level, which I consider I think is quite high. But then I see people like 3,000 plus, and I go, well, it's probably actually not that high. I've got a fair way to go. Cool. Some other interesting news. I saw this in the official Marvel Snap Discord, so you can see the link in there if you would like to click it. Marvel Snap is coming to Colombia. You can register for the beta in the official Marvel Snap Discord. From what I saw, it was on the Play Store, so I'm assuming it's Android only at the moment. Can't confirm or deny that. But
I'm sure our Colombian viewers will be very happy to hear that.
It's funny you say that. I can check if we have any Colombian listeners to the podcast. Hopefully there is, and we gave them some good news. It's going to be coming to Colombia, the beta, which is kind of cool. It's not in a ton of countries right now. I keep getting DMs and like people like tweeting at me or like in the Discord like, oh, I want to play the game, but I live here or I live there. It's not out yet. And and it's just people like, tweeting at Marvel Snap, like, when's the game coming? I want to play it now. Like heaps of TCG lovers. So hopefully, I really do hope it comes to them soon, so they can play the game. I mean, we actually are quite lucky that we got it. Like I feel like I didn't actually see it coming to Australia before full release, to be honest. I don't know about you, but I literally woke up one morning, opened my phone. I think I opened Facebook or Twitter, and just saw Marvel Snap
Yeah.
is in Australia. I'm like, what?
I remember when the game first got announced, and I remember telling you, and I think Justin as well,
Yeah.
about it. And I thought this game looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then it just never didn't come. I think I signed up for the beta and didn't get in because I can't remember if it was locked to America or
I think it might have been.
I just didn't get chosen or whatever the reason was.
Yeah.
But then I honestly forgot about the game. And then, yeah, I remember you just
Same.
like, I think you said, you're just like, oh, the game's out. So we just downloaded and just started playing. It was just so random.
It's so funny because the Pokemon Live beta came to us the day before that. So I signed
That's
up for
right.
that.
Yep,
And I'm like,
yep.
I'm going to play this so much. And then the next day, Marvel Snap dropped in Australia, the beta. I'm like, oh, I'd rather play this for sure. Opened it and literally been junking it since we opened it, since I opened the app. So
unfortunately, Pokemon Live wasn't the greatest. So.
the Pokemon Live beta was
That's probably a reason why we got into this so much.
Yeah,
but
100%. I was like super keen for Pokemon, and then I'm glad Marvel Snap came because it's in a much better state right now. And that's the thing, it's a beta still, but it's a mostly functioning beta with, it does have bugs, of course, but they're not, like, I mean, I'm not like shutting the game down because I can't play a match, you know? Like, it's not like I can't play the game. Sure, there might be some interactions that are incorrect, but that's all going to get fixed. Yeah. So, cool. That's pretty much it for the like Marvel Snap news. One thing I wanted to talk to you about last week, but unfortunately you couldn't be on the podcast. I know you've been like struggling to unlock some fun Pool 3 cards, but I believe you might have found something viable that you enjoy playing. So,
I have.
What deck have you been playing this for the last few weeks?
I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I think I unlocked it. 2 weeks now.
Yeah, I think about that at least. Yep.
I feel like it was just after the last podcast I was on, so it would have been 2 weeks ago because I remember saying to you, this would have been perfect if I unlocked it, 24 hours earlier because I would have had something to talk about instead of the Dino deck.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a Destroyer deck, which has been really fun. The day I got it, I climbed from, I think I was 40 to about 60 in a day.
Yeah,
just because
cool.
it was just really fun to play.
That's great.
And then I think the fact that I unlocked it, because I'd play, 1 or 2 games every few hours or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I was playing 5 or 6 games every 20 minutes or so. Like I'd play it for a bit to put it down, and then because just something new, something different. So
yeah,
that's what's good about this game in a way, where you just get something new and you just get hooked on into it again. So you might fall off a bit, and then something just draws you back in, which is what I think is a big plus with the way the card unlock system works.
Yeah, for sure. I think like drip feeding us is like, it's frustrating, but when you start losing interest in the game, all of a sudden you're like back in, you're sucked in, you're playing as much as you can. I'll bring up the you gave me the deck list, so let's bring up the deck list here. So why don't you just walk us through? So you pretty much like came up, like you kind of knew what Destroyer's idea was, but tell me about each card and why it's here.
Okay, so Nightcrawler I think is just a staple. We just chuck it in. Can use it for a lot of things.
It's interesting you say that. Justin said the same thing last week.
I feel like almost every deck plays Nightcrawler at this point.
Debatable.
Because they're versatile.
But yeah.
Nova, pretty self-explanatory. You destroy him, gives +1 to all your other cards.
Yep.
Bucky Barnes, you want to just get him to just be destroyed. Turns into Winter Soldier for 6 power, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, that's right.
Daredevil, I actually only recently added Daredevil in. So Daredevil's good, obviously, just for that turn 5 link with Professor X as well.
Yeah.
So pretty much what the aim of the deck is you only want to play cards in 2 lanes. So one lane is going to be cards you don't want to destroy.
Yep.
And one lane is going to be cards you do want to destroy. So in the cards you don't want to destroy, you either play Armor, ideally, I think Warpath, and then Iron Man, because Warpath's good because if you're only playing the 2 cards.
That's crazy. I never thought about having Warpath, but that makes total sense because you're generally going to have a lane clear. Yeah.
So because then he goes up to 9 power.
That's cool.
Plus mixed with Iron Man.
That's
so
sick.
Daredevil's just good for that, turn 5. You can play Professor X if you're confident that you're going to get a take the location, and also protects all the cards there from Destroyer. So
yes,
because in this situation, for example, you can either play Iron Man just to, if you've already got armor down,
yes.
just to double it. But if you don't have Iron Man or you're not sure, you can just play Professor X anywhere.
So that was my next question. I think you just answered it. So Professor X prevents any cards from being destroyed at that location.
Anything to be destroyed, anything to be
can't
added.
Move things, can't add things.
Can't move things, nothing.
Yeah, so that works really well with Daredevil, Professor, and Destroyer. Cool.
And so it's very similar to armor in a way that it just protects all your cards, but it stops the other person from playing cards. So if you play Daredevil and you know this location, if I play Professor X, I'm going to have 1 or 2 more power. Just play him there. You win the location. It can't be changed unless there's cards in there that can be buffed. So that's something that you really need to consider. So
okay, yes, of course.
For example, if you're up by 2 power and there's a sunspot there, and then they just don't play any cards the next turn, you just lose.
Yeah.
So I think early on when I played Professor X, I didn't take that into account. But it's you learn pretty quickly when you lose it. You think you've won the game, and then the game ends, and you're like, wait, how did I lose? And then wait, they have Bishop who just got buffed because they played 3 cards.
Yep.
So Cosmo's in there because if you don't get armor, you don't get Professor X to work. Cosmo stops on reveal, so you can play Destroyer at that location just to get his power. It doesn't destroy your cards.
Oh, I was just about to. So I'm looking at the deck list, and last week's discussion with Justin on the podcast, he was saying how bad Cosmo is, and I was just like, why is Cosmo in this deck? But it clicked as soon as you said what you said. That makes total sense. So you can stop Destroyer from destroying anything, and you just get a 16 power card.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That wasn't my idea, actually. That was one of our friends.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So he mentioned it to me.
Yep.
And it's worked, and it also works well just to neutralize the other player as well if they've got on reveal cards.
I was going to say, if you're only playing those 2 lanes, then they're generally going to have to fight for those 2 lanes. So if you can just stop their on reveals, it's all of a sudden they go, well, do I bother fighting for this lane?
And the good part about only fighting for 2 lanes is if you get one location that you think, oh, that doesn't really suit me, or I don't really want to play cards there, you just don't worry about it.
Yeah,
you just don't need to commit cards to it, and then hopefully the opponent commits cards early to that other location that you're not interested in, because then they're going to be wasting all their resources on a location you have no interest in winning. So So, and then with Destroyer, 16 power, if you can get it to go off, a lot of the times you can win the location with him alone.
I was about to say, so is there ever a situation where you're fighting for 2 locations and you play Destroyer at the 3rd location? Does that come up often?
It just honestly depends, because a lot of the time, if you've got Warpath down, it can ruin it. Because if you've got, for example, Colossus or Bucky Barnes in the middle location, and then the left location you play Destroyer, there's going to be cards there for sure because they don't get destroyed.
Yes.
So then you lose the buff for Warpath. But if you've got Professor X down and you know you're going to win, doesn't matter if Warpath has the buff or not. You can play it so anywhere, whatever suits.
Yeah. So my idea is so say you have armor in the left location, you Professor X the middle location. Is there a scenario where you play Destroyer? You'd play Destroyer in the right location, yeah. If you're already,
honestly, depends. Because if you've already got the Professor X location, you could play it in the armor location.
You probably played in the armor location.
You just get safe. So it just honestly depends on Warpath, I think.
Yep. So I guess it makes sense that I actually like that because I feel like you generally only ever have enough cards to fight for 2 locations, like strongly fight for 2 locations.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you spread yourself thin on the 3rd location just because. Like if you just play those 2 locations and they play those 2 locations, or they can play those 2 locations and throw 1 card in the 3rd. I feel like you have to play 3 locations with most decks, whereas this you can kind of get around that, which is actually really cool. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, so I was gonna say because with if you got Bucky Barnes down, you've got Nova, you got Colossus, you're still getting 16 jet power plus 6 plus 3.
Yeah, well.
So it can get pretty high.
Pretty good.
Chances are, unless you get an Infinite dropped on you,
Yeah.
your chances are you're going to win a location that has Destroyer. Sometimes the other location is a bit difficult to win if you don't get Warpath to work.
Yes.
But if you got Iron Man, even Armor, Cosmo, sometimes if you can get Professor X off, that's even better.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's the Professor X is interesting because you kind of can't play Bucky Barnes and Nova at Professor X.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't have them there. So I guess you have to be really, you have to really think about your placement, which is that's good. It's a fairly high skilled deck, I guess.
Yeah. So you really just want. You just predetermine, you need to know these cards can't be destroyed. These cards can be destroyed, so you just separate them completely.
Yeah.
And then, you would never play Professor X where Nova or Bucky Barnes is.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
It just makes no sense to.
Cool. So, that's really cool. Destroyer, we were kind of chatting a few weeks ago about, like, the game was getting a bit stale because we didn't have any, like, build around pool 3 cards, like cards you could build a deck around. And then you message me and you go, hey, I got Destroyer. And then you're like an hour later, like, this is so much fun. I can't stop playing. So it was good to hear that I guess your enjoyment of the game has been renewed a bit with this card, which is really cool. Yeah. I have been complaining a lot about not getting pool 3 cards.
Yeah, I've been complaining a lot.
I have a daily complaint about not having the cards I want to play. I'm still going to continue to do it, but I have been told to shut up because I have spoken to other people that have like less good cards than I do, so I probably should stop complaining. But this is the deck I've been playing at the moment. I made a video about it. It's funny because I made a video about this and then I schedule my videos, and like within the 3 days before, because I recorded it on the weekend, like heaps of people dropped a very similar deck, and obviously no one copied it. Like no one copied it off me. No one had actually seen it. But I'm like, hang on, now it just looks like I've copied from like 5 other people, and it's different. It's not the same, but the idea was, and my video was pretty much like the last one to come out. So I'm like, people are just gonna think I completely ripped it off. But this is the deck anyway. Ant-Man is just an ongoing. So essentially, you're playing Spectrum, so you're playing as many ongoing cards as you can. Ant-Man's ongoing, Quinjet's ongoing. You pretty much don't use Quinjet's ability at all. You're literally just playing him because he's a 1-drop ongoing. Ebony Maw, 7 power, also ongoing, but you can't play cards there. So generally, I'm playing like a 2-cost card like Lizard, and then playing Ebony Maw on like Lizard and Ebony on turn 3 is actually really, really good because that's like 13 power plus Spectrum's going to make that 14, 15, 16, 17. Assuming they don't fill up that space. Armor and Colossus are literally in there again because they're ongoing 2-drops. But like you said, like you use Armor and Colossus, I can, I guess, block things from being destroyed with Armor, like your Destroyer deck. I could definitely use Armor against your deck. And Colossus, of course, you can play him in places where he would get destroyed. Of course, Mr. Fantastic, Captain America, both ongoing cards, decent abilities. I saw someone tweet Goose is a really good 3-power ongoing card for a Spectrum deck. Which is you can't play 4, 5, and 6 cost cards at that location. So you having Goose there and your other small cards and then buffing them with Spectrum, super, super strong, but I don't have Goose. But yeah, I kind of built this and then I saw something similar with Goose. I'm like, that's actually really, really, that's like better. It's probably better than my deck list. I think it is just better with Goose. You'd probably replace like Captain America with Goose. And then Wong and Mystique is just like a broken combo that a lot of decks use. And we did our tier list last week, and Spectrum, Justin had Spectrum as like a pretty low tier card. But with this combo, it is broken as... So Wong, Mystique, like turn 4 Wong, turn 5 Mystique, and another card. And then Spectrum turn 6, buffing everything to +8. And I think every card in this deck except Chavez, but Chavez is really just there as your like fail safe if you don't draw Spectrum. You're literally buffing every card in the deck by 8, which is absolutely broken. Like, it's so dumb. And I had a scenario where I had Wong and Mystique at the location, I don't know which one it is, that doubles ongoing. And I played Spectrum, and I think I've got a screenshot somewhere, which I'll tweet if I find it. It was like stupid. That location where they were was dumb. It was like hundreds and hundreds. I can't even remember what it was. It was like in the hundreds of the big it was, and the other locations were all like 40 plus. It was all 30, 40 plus with like no cards there, and it was just like an auto win all 3 locations.
Yeah.
So that's it is a cool deck, but like I said, you kind of need to draw Wong before turn 4. You need Mystique by turn 5 and Spectrum before turn 6. So you kind of need them to fall into that pattern, and then you obviously just all the other cards. It really doesn't matter what you get. You're really just like like I said, Lizard and Lizard and More is a good combo. Ant-Man at a location with 4 cards. Like there's little combos in there, but really your big combos Wong, Mystique, Spectrum. And when you don't hit that, it's like you're probably not winning anyway. So it's a very it's a fun deck, but that's the thing. It is stupid fun because there's been games where my opponent has 3 locations on turn 5, and it just looks like there's no way for me to win, and then I win all 3 locations. And they're just like...
It's pretty crazy. I saw your video as well, and I just couldn't... just crazy. I fortunately don't have Wong or Mystique to make this deck. So.
And this is why I've been told to shut up and stop complaining.
I do have Spectrum, though, but I don't think she's much
Spectrum. I think Spectrum's like pool 2.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely pool. It might even be pool 1, to be honest.
Now I feel worse.
Yeah, it doesn't have Spectrum.
I thought I had a good pool 3 card.
No. But I don't. I think out of everything in that deck, I think Ebony Maw, Quinjet, Mystique, Wong. I think they're all the pool 3s.
Is Ebony Maw?
Maybe not. I might be wrong. It might be pool 2.
I think Quinjet is.
Quinjet definitely
Wong
is.
and Mystique is. Yeah.
Quinjet was one of the early pool 3 cards I got, and I didn't really know what to use it with. And then I figured it out. Dino deck was pretty useful with Quinjet. Moon Girl like kind of abuses that ability, and now I'm using it in a deck where I don't even care about the ability, which is kind of funny. Cool. So those are the decks we've been playing this week. I kind of like just chatting about what we've been playing. It's I mean, like we can go through tier lists and stuff of decks, but I mean that's probably going to be the same most weeks until we get a new card. So like or nerfs and buffs. So that doesn't really change that much. So I think just seeing like how our collection level's progressing, like just chatting about what we're playing, which is I think really I like hearing what everyone's playing or what you're playing, and anyone else that's listening, you know, tweet at me your deck lists. I was about to say if I've got the cards, I'll try them, but I probably won't have the cards. But if I do, I'll test them out. Cool. Let's get into the featured locations. Usually we do this at the start of the podcast, but there was so much to talk about today. Featured locations the week that just passed. We had the new location Project Pegasus, which is a pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting location. So when it reveals, you get +5 energy for your next turn. So if it's the first location that appears, you have 6 energy for that first turn. Some people came up with some decks to abuse that ability. I saw is the card Omega. I can't remember the name of the card. Let me have a look. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not really, no.
I remember seeing it's Omega Red. Yeah, Omega Red. I was about to say Ruby. So Omega Red. I might as well bring it up because the ability it was kind of crazy. And it wasn't really possible without Project Pegasus. And because the location was coming up so often, it kind of just worked. So the ongoing is if you're ahead by 10 power here, +4 power to other locations, which seems kind of whatever. But you could play him really early on, and then it was like you were playing Wong. I think you were playing Wong, Mystique, and Iron Man. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Wong, Mystique, Iron Man, and Omega Red, and then you were getting like 32 power at the other 2 locations. We worked out. We did the math. You were getting times 16 on that +4, so you're getting 32 at the other locations, and then Iron Man was buffing your current location to something ridiculous as well. It was actually like the location you're at was like 1,000+. It was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous deck, and people were just abusing the heck out of it. I didn't get to try it because I didn't have Omega Red, but I saw it tweeted a bunch of times, and it looked pretty funny. Because you didn't really play many cards, but you just won. Did you use any, did you make a special deck for the location? Or?
Nah, I didn't make a special deck. I did have some fun with it. I feel like I always gambled with Professor X. So, you'd get Professor X turn
turn
turn one,
turn one.
turn two, you
Yeah.
could play him whenever the location revealed.
God,
And then
that's,
I just guessed where the other person was not going to play.
and you got it wrong
So
every
you just,
time.
yeah, no, I actually won a few
Yeah, you would definitely.
few locations.
That's
So
cool.
you just win. It's just weird as seeing 3-0
Yeah.
just doing nothing. But I didn't probably abuse it too much. I feel you could have gone one of two ways. You could have just played a lot of high power, high cost cards,
Which is exactly what I did.
early, or play just a lot of lower cost cards and just play heaps of them early. So
I
this is
think
the two ways you could go about it.
I think my thing was I think my thing was I put a bunch of high cost cards in. I put 3 6 cost cards, and there was a couple scenarios where I could play all 3 in the game. So I was playing I was playing Infinite, I was playing Hulk, and Hulk was because it was the only other high power 6 cost, and I was playing Giganto. So there were some games where I could get all 3 out, but it was kind of gimmicky. And I played it for like an hour, and I was like, "This is just stupid." I'm just like, I was having tons of fun, but it was kind of like real memey. So it was a bit it was a bit weird. And then I just started playing what I was already playing. I just kept on playing discard. I was playing at the time, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I can just discard stuff sooner." Like it was fine. I don't think you had to like make a specific deck for that location.
No,
but
it's always you just got to play more. It's like you didn't really need something specific. Every deck you just played more early, so you just had more cards out and more chances to get your combos off. So
yeah, I think that was like that. That's how I kind of looked at that location. And then later in the week, so that was a brand new location. So that's now rotating in the pool of locations. The other featured location, we only had it for like a couple days, was Dark Dimension, which is where you don't reveal any cards until the end of the game. This one kind of hurt the decks I was playing. Playing discard and having all the discard happen in the end, unless I'm playing Dracula, was bad.
It.
Yeah,
I avoided it all.
Yeah, which was just like for some of the decks I was playing, like the Spectrum deck, the one I showed just before, for me to have all my ongoing cards hidden, when I played Spectrum, like I had to play Spectrum last at that location for her ability to affect everything. Whereas if I played it somewhere else, none of those cards got the buff.
Yeah, because that reveals first, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's not an ongoing, it's on reveal. So it affects, so I needed that card to be played last every time. So it kind of forced me into this like narrow sort of path every game, which kind of felt bad. To be honest, I didn't really play that much with the location. I think those few days was probably the least I've played the game recently, and it wasn't that it was a bad location. I just I needed to build a deck, I guess, kind of around it, and I knew the new season was coming out in a few days, so I didn't really attempt to. I'd say. Did you do anything special for that, or just kept playing Destroyer?
Just kept playing Destroyer. Because like I said earlier, I only had to play 2 lanes, so most of the time I just avoid it, to be honest.
I was about to say, did you ever play Destroyer there last and just like have it reveal at the end?
No, I didn't.
I was going to say that'd be pretty interesting.
I also didn't play much when it was a featured one, so
that's fair. My next question was, because I tweeted this and I asked a few people that also had the same sentiment. Did it feel like Project Pegasus went for longer than the featured location normally does? I'm convinced it went for like 4 days.
Longer than Dark Dimension.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it was like 2/3 of the week, and then the last third of the week was Dark Dimension. Whereas usually, I'm pretty sure it's like 2 days, maybe 3 days maximum. Yeah, let's say 3 days for one, 3 days for the other. And then 1 day is like, and a day in the middle, there's no featured location. I feel like that's what it was normally. So I don't know. We'll see what happens this week. We'll probably get a new location probably tomorrow or the day after, a featured location. So we'll see what happens there. I just feel like it was like really, really long. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things. I had some discussion questions here. And if anyone in chat, guys, if you've joined us late, if you haven't listened from the start, we are starting to live stream the podcast on Twitch. So if anyone drops any questions in the chat, this is the time to do it. Be it questions like just about us or about the game, Marvel Snap. If you're not playing it, go and check it out. Jump on the App Store or the Google Play Store, currently on mobile. I believe it's not... You know what I actually found out, Tom, this week? It's apparently not available in the USA unless you were signed up for the beta. So it never got like an open beta release, which is absolutely wild that Australia got and I tried fact checking this and I couldn't actually find anything, but I had some Americans tweet at me saying they couldn't play the beta yet.
Okay.
So I actually don't know if that's 100% correct, but from all my fact checking, it said that the game was available in those locations, but then I've spoken to people who said it isn't. So maybe it could be like a region thing. It could just be, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I guess it makes sense in Australia. There's so much less population, so
Like,
if they wanted to limit it,
target it, yeah, because
to America, if they're opening it to everyone, so many more people are going to download it. So they probably just did the sign up for the beta. They probably thought, okay, this is the exact amount of people we want. We don't want to just open it to anyone who wants to download it, because I feel like a lot of people will just download it for the sake of downloading it.
For sure.
If they've just heard about it and maybe not play too much. And so that's probably a reason why I would say.
That's right. And if it's 300 million people in the US, new game, Marvel, and like they've been advertising it tons in Australia. I see it on Facebook, Instagram, just like Google. I just see ads for the game. So I guess if you drop that in America, servers could go get pretty overloaded quickly. Like obviously they're rolling the game out quite slowly, so that might have been a concern as well. So I guess count ourselves lucky for now. Cool. So I had a couple of there are more discussions and questions that came up through Twitter. As you can hear, you probably noticed, I've been talking about Twitter a lot. I was never a big Twitter user, but Twitter community has been really cool these last month since we've been doing the podcast. So we've got the official Twitter account for the podcast now, which is really cool. So I had a couple of things that came up. And I've got some images, so if you are watching the stream, you can see them. If not, I'm going to describe the scenario. So this was tweeted by Willow Snapping, and I did talk to Willow before if I could use this for the podcast, and super, super cool about it. Gave me his opinion on this scenario as well, so I'll read that out as well. He basically posted an image of a game. There was 3 locations. One is... Sanctum Sanctorium, which is cards can't be played here. That came up twice. And then the first location that came up was you can't play cards here after turn 4. So this is just such a weird scenario. And just looking at it, you can see that their opponent played a green goblin in the cards can't be played here. So that ended up on Willow's side of the board. So he just automatically lost that location, which does happen. It definitely does happen in games. But the fact that this essentially became... a TVA scenario, but you can only play cards at one location. And your game, after turn 4, no one can play cards at any location. And before by turn 2, he's already Willow's already lost a location. So it was just a very interesting scenario, and I'll give you Willow's take on it because someone commented on it saying that the game is the game is unfair that these scenarios happen, making the game kind of a non-playable scenario. My thoughts on it is, and we've had this discussion before about the cube system, Tom. We've talked about, because you can just retreat for one cube, these RNG scenarios aren't that big of a deal compared to imagine a Hearthstone game, 10 minutes you have to sit through this, and you just can't play stuff. It would be horrible. Whereas, do you think that it's okay to have these sort of scenarios happen in this in a game like Marvel Snap? Or would you prefer 100%. Things or would you prefer things like this not happen?
Nah, I think it's fine. I think it's interesting. It makes you just consider strategy much more when you think, oh shit, I can't play cards in 2 locations, and I've got, I can only play cards till turn 4. So I think it's so rare a situation like this that, and because the games are so short as well, you'll play it, you'll think, this is so bizarre. What do I do? You might lose. You can retreat if you want, lose a cube or 2, but you might also win it just because of the pure absurdness of it. Neither of you know what to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's fine because, we play Pokemon, and how many times have you just drawn to start the game and just instantly lost? You just have nothing new to do. Your opponent just sets up perfectly. The game's over in a minute,
For sure.
So I feel the nature of card games in general has this just random, ridiculous scenarios that might happen once every 1,000, 2,000 games, whatever it might be.
And that's a perfect point you make with the percentages. So I actually think of this scenario as imagine the game's poker, for instance. Imagine we're playing Texas Hold'em poker, and you've got a terrible, like you've got the worst cards. You've got like a 2 of clubs and a 7 of diamonds. And this is like, that's your hand. You start the game knowing you're probably just going to lose. But in Marvel Snap, you can snap your cubes to intimidate your opponent and bluff them.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you were in this situation and hit snap, all of a sudden your opponent goes, oh, hang on, maybe they've got a way to add power to one of those other locations. I mean, there's plenty of cards that can. There's Claw, there's Nightcrawler, there's... I'm trying to think.
Fantastic.
I was about to say, I was going to say Heimdall, but that moves everything to the left, which doesn't work here. But like, yeah, so this is like one of those things where it could... like you could bluff your opponent into thinking that you're going to win. They retreat. There's your free cube, you know. I'll tell you what Willow said to me. He direct messaged me his take on this scenario. He says that rare situations like this are just that. They are rare. So the game is built for like pretty crazy randomness. And it's like a low risk. He says it's like a low risk environment because in this situation, you're not really losing anything for leaving. For example, he said his opponent lost 1 cube, retreated, and went on to the next game. Like that's it. That's fine. He said even like in this super rare case, it's quite literally just a TVA game that ends on turn 4. Like that's essentially all it ended up being. So it's pretty much, Willow pretty much had the same sentiment as us that scenarios like this are okay because of the way the game's made. If this was like a game where you had to play a 10-minute match and you knew you were going to lose from the start, like, yes, it would feel bad because you're retreating and you're losing as if you'd played like a full game, you know? Like we were saying with Pokemon, the trading card game. Like if I have a terrible draw, I might as well have lost 8 cubes. That's essentially I just entirely lost the game. Whereas I guess you can manage your losses in these bad situations, kind of like poker. Like if I know that I can't win, I can just fold, throw my cards away, or I can try bluff my opponent and try and win a bit of money off them, or in this case, win some cubes.
I feel like Marvel Snap is almost more comparable to poker than it is to other TCG games.
Isn't it weird? Like
in that regard,
I only had that poker analogy come to my head as I was looking at this scenario, and like I've always thought, like the cube system is a betting system. Essentially, you're doubling down, which is something you do in gambling games, essentially. And I just thought, like in this scenario, this is like having a bad hand in poker. Like
literally,
it's just like they know that they can't win, so they retreat. They lose their, their blind that they had to pay for that turn, or
exactly.
Or they might not have bet. Yeah, well, essentially, I guess. Yeah, I was about to say, well, they didn't bet anything, but that doesn't happen in this game. So you literally,
you pay the small blind to play.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you can back out early, or you can keep betting,
or you can double down. That's right.
So.
Interesting. I never thought we'd speak about gambling on this podcast, which is interesting. I guess the Nexus events were basically gambling. Cool. So that was one scenario, and we had one other discussion that we had within our like Marvel Snap group, and that was, I've got an image of that, and this was just to kind of discuss like the RNG in this game, which kind of leads on from the whole poker thing, I guess. So this is a pretty confusing scenario. For those that are listening and not watching the podcast, basically, opponents filled their board with a bunch of cards. We've like our player, our friend, our good friend Denzel. He told me I had to shout out his Twitter if I used his image. So his Twitter was what is it? At Black Thunder DF, is that right?
Black Thunder DF, I'm pretty sure.
At Black Thunder DF is his Twitter handle, so you can go and follow him there if you like. And of course, Willow's from the last image is at Willow Snapping, so you can go and check Willow out there as well. So this one, Black Thunder, our good friend, he basically had a scenario where the opponents played a bunch of cards. It doesn't really matter what they had in play. He had Invisible Woman at a location, so his cards weren't revealed. He had Lady Sif being revealed. So the game's ended. Lady Sif revealed, discarded some cards in his hand, which he received from Nick Fury, testing out Nick Fury. Then Blade revealed and discarded another card, one of them being Ultron. Then Hela was played, which brings back all the discarded cards. Unfortunately, Ultron got played in his middle location, which he'd already won, and it filled up the other location that he would have won. He lost it by 1 point. It filled it up with 2 drones. And it was also a -1 because it was sewer system, so they were 0. And then Hella couldn't play any more cards at that location. So it was a really bad RNG moment. So he snapped full knowing that Hella's going to win him the game. And he absolutely dominates the location he won. But he loses the other two locations by an extremely narrow margin. And he was kind of just like, this game's stupid. Why would it bring back Ultron? And he understood that it was just like bad RNG. We kind of already spoke about it in the last one, but like, Tom, do you think that the RNG is so bad that the game is like just a toss of the coin? Like, obviously there's interactions and stuff, but do you ever feel like I'm getting so much bad RNG, this game hates me? Or do you think it's like, yeah, what's your thoughts on it, I guess?
No, I don't think so. I think in situations like this, I mean, there's so much RNG by just the cards played. You know, you've got, well, Lady Sif is, you know, knocks out the highest cost card.
Yeah.
But even then, if you've got three 6-drops, it's going to kill one of them.
That's right.
You got Nick Fury, and Nick Fury is going to get 3 random ones.
Yeah.
You know, Blade gets rid of a random one.
Yeah.
And then Hela brings back the cards in random locations. So
it's terrible RNG, isn't it?
But if in this situation you're putting too much RNG on it.
Yes,
because like in any card game, there's going to be RNG. There's going to be what do you draw, what did your opponent draw? You know, sometimes you just get a better draw than your opponent, and you just can win off just by pure luck that your draw is better to begin with.
Yeah.
But in that situation, I think you can't really. Like, you're just playing to the RNG at that point because there's just so many cards are reliant on just randomness that you can't. You just live by it or you die by it. Like, that's the only way you can really explain it. So I think it's fine because, you know, the decks I play, there's not the only RNG really is what I draw.
Yes. Okay.
And
yes.
the locations and the locations.
Of course.
So it's more. I never feel I'm just destroyed by RNG.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
there's a lot of games where I think, oh, if I just drew Destroyer by turn 6, I would have won. You know, stuff like that has happened. But that's just any card game. That's just the nature of it.
For sure.
But I don't think, you know, there's no real complaints about the RNG cards because you can just not play the heavily reliant on RNG cards to try and win your games. Because then in other scenarios, they could play them in all the right spots and you just win instantly.
For sure.
So
I think on that, I think people have come from traditional trading card games, and all of a sudden you've got random locations, you've got your 12 cards, which is the same as any card game. You have to draw your cards, but then Hearthstone does have a lot of RNG as well. But I feel like in this game, there's just so much. There is a lot of randomness because of the locations. Like a location can just like make your deck unplayable instantly.
Yeah.
But I think it always just comes back to, like you've said, the cube system. I think it always just comes down to that, where you can have games where you like usually by turn 5 you probably know your chances of winning or not. Like obviously you're not able to do the math on every single card your opponent could play, every card you could play, etc.
Yeah.
But you generally can get a decent idea. And of course there's going to be games like that one our friend had where they thought they had it won, but then they lost by a narrow margin. And I think losses like that they can hurt, but I think with the way the cube system is, you kind of just pencil it down as a loss. You know, if you get into a similar scenario that you might not win it, so you maybe don't snap, that sort of thing. So
that's the thing. If you're playing with the RNG decks like this exact one, don't go all in unless you're 100% sure.
For sure.
Because I know that Ultron situation was just so unfortunate, but that was always a possibility.
Yeah.
So you got to go in knowing, make a calculated decision. Okay, this could happen. This could happen.
Yes.
So don't fully commit your cubes if you're not 100% sure. So I think that just goes down to just being smart about snapping, being smart about holding onto your cubes, especially with the randomness, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's right. And yeah, like with traditional trading card games, I think people come into it with a sense of like how much RNG there's going to be. You got to remember it's a different type of game, and I think that kind of that poker like analogy we made, although it's not a gambling game, it has gambling mechanics, I guess. Obviously not for money, which is always a good thing. People aren't losing money playing Marvel Snap. But someone's going to take that out of context, and it's just going to be us saying Marvel Snap is a gambling game. But no, so I think if you come from a traditional trading card game, there is a lot of RNG. I've seen people that are frustrated because they go, well, why would I play this game when I lose to some BS like that? Like that example we made. But I think it's all calculated decisions, calculated risks. Every time you go to turn 6. So yeah, I think it's just one of those things that happens. You pencil it down as a loss and you try and avoid it the next time.
Yeah, literally. Like now, I'll go back into the poker analogy.
We're never going to get away from it.
Nah, so the locations are literally, like the cards they put down at the middle.
Oh yeah,
it's different every time.
Yeah.
And some, you might start with a really good hand, ace and a king.
Yes.
But then the cards in the middle just don't help you at all.
Yes, I like it.
So that's where I think it's more comparable than regular TCGs, where you just get drawn a hand, locations in the middle, and you just got to play to that.
Is Marvel just like a reskinned poker? I don't know now. It's just like it's poker trading card game. No, it's definitely not. But I think we can take parts of different like trading card games, different gambling games, kind of smash it together, throw Marvel theme on it. Obviously, I'm joking. The devs have put a lot of work into the game. But it's got mechanics that we can take from other games to help us understand the RNG, probabilities of winning things like that. And like you said, there's generally, once you learn a deck and learn the other decks, you can kind of have like, I kind of know if I'm gonna win. By turn 5, I know, okay, there's probably like a 90% chance I win this. And if I know, like, if it's it's 50-50, then you probably just retreat and go on to the next game. It's 3-minute matches. You're not sitting there for an hour. It's not like poker. You've been playing for 2 hours. You're like, oh, I'm done. You just start like going all in because you're over it. They're short games. You just retreat, move on.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I feel when you talk to that, it's, if you're because I feel like most decks have a combo that you want to get off. If you're going to get that combo off, I feel like 90% of the time you're going to win. But also there's a chance that the opponent gets their combo off.
Yes.
So then you got to calculate, is it worth playing it out, thinking they might get what they're planning on. So I think that's another key. Just recognize what their combo is early if you can, if it's a deck
for sure.
And then that's when you make the decision. Because if you know your combo is coming off, then chances are you're probably going to win.
Yeah, and that's right. It can definitely come down to like, I got my combo off, you got your combo off. Which combo worked out better this time? For sure. All right, guys, that's pretty much all the all the content we had to get through today. But of course, we have to play everybody's favorite guessing game, Snap Who, the official name of the game now. We've got the scoreboards here. I'll quickly explain the rules. Actually, just before that, I thought I'd quickly just mention what RNG stands for. I was thinking about it the whole time because I know there's a lot of people playing Marvel Snap that probably haven't come from like trading card games or video games, like other video games in general. So RNG just stands for like random number generator. So it's pretty much just saying like it's like rolling a dice, toss of a coin, like it's just a probability thing that can be in your favor sometimes, or sometimes it just goes bad. Just chance, pretty much, is what it means. It's just like a game. It's such a gamer term. RNG. Just like every gamer, every nerd is just like, yeah, RNG, bro. But yeah, it's just like chance. Poker. Okay, so Snap Who. Guys, I'm going to run through the rules quickly. Super fun game. If you're playing Marvel Snap, you can play along with us. You can try and guess yourself. So basically the rules, I need to just minimize chat so chat doesn't give me the answers. So basically I am going to... So Tom, I'm guessing this week. So the scoreboard, Tom is on 5 points right now. I am on 2 points. So the game goes, Tom will read the ability of a Marvel Snap card to me. I need to guess what the name of the card is, what the cost of the card is, and what the power of the card is. So I'm trying to guess 3 things to complete what card it is. And for each one I get right, I will get 1 point. So maximum of 3 points each week. Tom is currently on 5. I am on 2. So hopefully I can tie it up today. Cool, Tom. Over to you. I'm going to think my hardest.
Let's see how we go with this one. So the ability is... On reveal,
Yep.
If your opponent played cards here this turn, move them randomly.
Could you repeat that? Because I think I used this card today.
On reveal, if your opponent played cards here this turn, move them randomly.
I definitely used this card today. I'm so sorry, but I'm actually not sure about the stats on it. But I know it's Juggernaut.
Yep.
You don't have to tell me yet. Wait for the rest.
Late,
but I know.
You're very confident.
I actually know.
I knew you knew it.
I actually know that it's Juggernaut. I know because I was trying to fill a spot in the deck I was testing, and so I'm confident. Don't say yes or no, but I'm confident that it's a 3 cost because that was, I remember I had plenty of 1s, plenty of 2s, and I needed 3s. So I'm going to say it's a 3 cost. The power is the tough one. I really want to say 4, but I have a feeling it's also 3. And so I'm just going to go on gut. I'm going to go Juggernaut, 3 cost, 3 power. I'm going to bring
Correct.
it up now. Did I get it all?
All 3.
Yes.
All 3.
I'm so lucky I used that card today. It's funny.
Fun fact, that was my first pull 3 card.
Ooh, I guessed the pull 3 card. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. I'm not going to lie.
And funnily enough, I've versed someone against this and literally lost them the game because I played a card at Juggernaut and then that moved it to Sanctum Sanctorum where there was no cards there for either of us and I just won the game.
That's so funny. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, it's a really bad card in that scenario.
Yeah.
The way I used it today was I was trying to build a Nick Fury deck and I just needed a slot. And I kind of had like a control sort of thing with like Storm. So I kind of had like, if they play cards at, like if I play Juggernaut when Storm's like turning off that location and like they're going to play cards there to try and win it and I pull them away.
Idea.
Yeah, that was actually the play. I didn't test it too much, but it's actually just very, very, very convenient that I touched that card today.
Yeah. I feel like they have it with Warpath as well when I did it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually, because you know what? I don't even think it's that great of a card, but I was looking at all my 3 cost cards and anything I wanted to throw into my Nick Fury deck just seemed bad. And this card was kind of controlling, which is what I was kind of going for. The deck ended up being absolutely garbage anyway. But I'm glad. So we're all tied up at 5-5, which is I'm pretty happy about that. I was worried I didn't want to fall behind early, you know?
Yes. No.
Cool. I knew straight away. I knew it was Juggernaut. I was just iffy on the power. I was very close to. I'm like 4 or 3. I'm like, I've got to go with my gut here. Cool. Well, that is Snap Who for another week. Everybody's the only reason everyone stays till the end of the podcast. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you've joined us live, really appreciate it. Don't go anywhere because we're going to do a bit of a post show each week. So we'll chat. We'll do shout outs and everything that for people that joined us live. Thanks for watching. If you are listening to the podcast on your podcasting platform of choice, thank you for joining us as well. We've got the official Infinite Snap Twitter now at Infinite Snap Pod. So go and follow us there on Twitter. We're tweeting Marvel Snap stuff, news, things like that. We've also got my Twitter at ShadowDTV and my boy Tom's at TKoutso. That's Koutso. I always say that because not the easiest spelling. If you want to watch us live and you can't make the live stream, you can rewatch it on YouTube the next day. So it will be up there. If you want to visually watch it, you can do that. And if you want to join the Discord, we're just currently using my catch-all Discord. So if you, the link will be in the podcast description. You can find it pretty much on any of my socials. That's just, we've got like an Infinite Snap chat there, so people can chat about the podcast episodes. Me and Tom and our good friend Justin will be in there as well, like just chatting, answering questions, things like that, posting deck lists. So we've pretty much launched that now, so we're going to start using that frequently. So definitely go and do that. Other than that, I always plug things for so long. Guys, thanks so much for joining us as always. Tom, any last words?
I do, actually.
Oh, he's got last words this week.
Our good friend Justin, who was on the podcast last week, it's actually his birthday today.
Hey!
So I think we should give him a bit of a shout out. I'm sure he's watching with his whole family.
Birthday.
What else could he possibly be doing to celebrate his birthday? But happy birthday to Justin.
Big happy birthday to our good friend Justin, who joined us last week as a guest. We've got some interesting news about that for next week's episode. Really, really excited to be doing this live. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to play the outro. We'll see you next week. See you, Tom.
Yeah.
Bye.